Forest Monitoring Program is a 6-week citizen science program for high school students who get to explore a variety of aspects of forest health, from stream health, soil health, vegetation, wildlife, and this year archaeology.
It's a chance to really see nature unlike a lot of kids ever get to see it.
I just had a lot of fun.
It's a pretty different way of thinking, to not just be doing an experiment and collecting data, but with the idea of presenting it to people.
You want kids to learn about nature, from nature, in nature, and nature is a tremendous classroom.
I don't know. I think it's huge. Whatever it is, it's big.
Two, one.
I'm Corinne Prashant. I'm going into my senior year at Helena High.
Why did you join the Youth Forest Monitoring Program?
I heard about it from my chemistry teacher, and then thought it was really interesting because I'm in an environmental club at my school, so I thought that it'd be something that really would be right up my alley.
I joined the program because I thought it'd always be fun. I have always been interested in the forest, and when my teacher said that this program was real, I said, "What's the catch?" He said, "There's no catch."
Well, mostly I like it because, it gives a lot of opportunities to be outside and, meet a lot of new people.
What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about just being outside. I'm excited about learning new things I didn't know.
Just being able to be outside for several weeks, all day.
I think it'd probably also be the teamwork, because I'd love to meet other people who are also intrigued by the forest.
Previously to this, I would never have thought of, getting a job with the Forest Service and stuff and working outside. But now I have the skills and knowledge to, if I choose to do that, pursue future career opportunities.
The idea, I think, between for the public involvement when I first came to Helena was, how do you get, how can you bring the forest to the people, and make sure that they know what we have and what's available to them on a national forest. And I think the second part of that was we were in the process of implementing a forest plan. We weren't doing a very good job of monitoring the forest plan, and I think we're being criticized for that, and probably rightly so. The other thing with that was the monitoring that we were doing was being done by forest employees. So, and some of our more severe critics were saying, this is the fox guarding the hen house. So one thing or another, that started to, I guess, ferment in my mind. And then at the same time, we were going to these meetings in town, which we have, and they're very popular right now. It's called Hometown Helena. And Gil Alexander, who had formed the Montana Science Institute in Canyon Ferry, and along with his wife, they were doing a phenomenal job. And one of the things during the meetings, he would always give a report out once a week and talk about what his kids were doing as far as science projects and that sort of stuff. And one of the things that came up consistently was he was doing monitoring.
So we had all these kids out there doing research. Many of them won, Westinghouse, Brother Nation, Science Symposium.
And you listen to that and you think, well, wow, they're doing monitoring. So we started out kind of small, where we did pretty specific, like maybe one stream, and we'd pay them to monitor a stream.
The program was the brainchild of Tom Clifford. He and Gil Alexander started talking together, and Tom wanted to bring some objective young people into the mix to learn about forest health and come up with just a few ways to assess forest health.
So sitting down around Thanksgiving one year, with Gil and Marilyn Alexander, we kind of hatched this idea to get the kids to do the monitoring for us, and also pay them a stipend, and Gil to administer the program to begin with. So we did that, and I think that's kind of how YFMP got together.
My family friend, Liz Gunderson, who was on the board of what was then the Montana Science Institute, just suggested that I get in touch with Gil Alexander and kind of describe this pretty unique opportunity, and she thought I'd be a good fit. So we had the conversation, and next thing I knew, I was in the role.
I had a house out there, which was called the dam houses, because it's all the houses that people lived in when they were building the dam back in the early 50s. And it was called Tom and Jerry's cheese house, because it always stunk. We always had something in there growing, all the microscopes and stuff. And one day I walked in the back room of that house, they had a bunch of people standing around, and Gil Alexander and Tom Clifford from the Forest Service had come up with this idea to start a program where kids would go out and monitor and find places on the forest that needed to be looked at, citizen science. And Melissa Brown was back there with a handful of students and a young, newly graduated Liz Burke. And I kind of wondered, what are you doing in my house? You know, nobody told me you're going to be in my house. And they told me what it was, and I'd had Melissa in class as a student, so I kind of knew her. And I kind of thought, okay, well, just don't get in the way, okay?
Well, I think it was a pretty wild idea that Tom had, and I think the professional sort of science trained staff at the Forest Service were skeptical.
So I think there was a thing, why are we letting non-professionals monitor forest plan stuff? But in fact, that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted the public to do the forest monitoring to increase credibility.
The first year was, 4 students that came together. It was all time pretty much out at the Science Institute, the Montana Learning Center, learning from books and interviews and research. The kids were learning everything they could about forest health. So it was really all lab time. They did go out a little bit and spend some time in the field. But so the transition from that year to then the subsequent years of kids basically spending most of the summer out in the field was the biggest transition.
It was just one leader with a lot of high school kids, so it was good times. It was like, I don't know, it was like a summer camp out at Canyon Ferry, so it was pretty awesome.
Back in the 1990s, we weren't really sure what citizen science was. I think it's more commonly known about now. So I think it took some time for the word about this program to get out. And I think it's word of mouth and the great experience that these students have that's made my job easier every year.
So I think over the course, as a kid, the kids asked a lot of really good questions. I think the staff started to buy in more and more with what we're doing, and I think today you go back to some of the specialists would say they're doing, they know their stuff and they're doing a really good job of monitoring.
In the beginning, it was pretty much kind of mapping out and looking at data that was already there. There wasn't a lot of field work, and that changed when Melissa handed off the reins to Liz, and we started doing a lot more field work and expanded the number of crew leaders, the number of crews. We ended up with crews in Deer Lodge and Lincoln and Helena.
As the partnership with the Forest Service got stronger and stronger, we transitioned it more into a day program, and it was amazing to see over these last 23 years that I've been involved with it, how much it's turned into a career engagement program, a way for students to explore natural resource careers. And for many of these students, they've gone on to careers in the field.
Well, I think it just gave me a good understanding of kind of the Forest Service and working outdoors and what kind of work there was. And so obviously doing it for a summer definitely built that trust that working outdoors was the right decision for me. And 23 years later, here I am still working for the Forest Service, enjoying my job, and loving every minute of it.
If it had been for YFMP, I honestly don't know what degree I would have picked. Probably like writing or something. but no, I think YFMP helped me realize like my true calling in life, if that makes sense, is just to be out in the woods and help keep that area, safe.
Yeah, I've always been interested in the natural resources field and biology and wildlife and fisheries and all of that, and it's definitely confirmed that that's the field that I want to go into.
It is very complex, the work that our fellow scientists are doing. It can feel maybe a little overwhelming that students with varied scientific background would be able to come in and, per se, bring something that's going to be able to stand up in a quote-unquote court of law.
All right. I'm not happy about something.
What?
Okay. From 2004 to 2011, they were using the random numbers. Then starting in 2000, and by random numbers, I mean they also did random numbers for the microplot location. They used a random number generator to do that.
But I would never underestimate the fact that students are able to take pictures, that they're able to use methods that are compared over time, and that they are able to provide high quality background material that the Forest Service can use when they're looking at how to manage our public lands.
What are you guys doing right now?
We're setting up transects so that we can accurately monitor the weeds and debris, vegetation, and other things that are present at the site.
And why do we want to know that?
Knowing this helps us monitor what kind of noxious weeds are in the area, because the noxious weeds can cause a disruption in the balance of vegetation and personal new growth. And they can spread really easily, so keeping tabs on little to the left is good. So keeping tabs on how on the growth of each noxious weed helps us figure out how to prevent it and why.
So she turned 18 a few weeks ago, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
So you get the kids that appreciate nature, and they also are smart enough to understand some of this stuff. And it's not like it's just for smart kids. I think it's for kids that are highly motivated, and have this determination to get a job done.
Animals have blood, dude. That's what I was.
What? This piece is part of the spine. Put that down.
Vertebrae.
Okay, wait. Let me get a picture of that.
Vertebrae.
Let me get a picture. Give me that cheesy smile.
What's up, vertebrae?
Ready, set, 3, 2, 1. Good. Oh my gosh! Look at this. Look at these details. Hold that up. This is beautiful.
I hunted this one with my bare hands. Cause I'm a real red-blooded Montanan. I hunt elk with my bare hands.
That was fun. It was fun to get to know kids in a different place, more relaxed. We had a lot of fun.
This is the best day ever. I got watermelon. I was digging holes. It was sweet. 4-year-old me would be ecstatic right now. Just gonna dig holes all day.
Nice.
The impact that YFMP program I think has had both on myself and on the community is to kind of recognize the ability of young people, but I think it's made the Forest Service a bigger piece of the community.
It's a gift to be able to work with students from the 1990s, the early 2000s, the 10s, the 20s now, and just to be able to see how they can take this type of experience and mold it into something that's really going to change their lives.
Every day we went to a stream was another adventure. Not just finding the stakes for the cross sections, but just getting to it and learning how to read maps and understanding nature to a level that you never understood it before.
The values that you instill in students that participate like that, I don't think you can really measure. Like you influence what careers they go into, you influence, you make them advocates for the environment.
And I think where you get that love of your environment in your heart is to go out there and be in it. And so that experience and that opportunity to be out there doing the work with professionals, being heard, just nurtures that connection.
You learn a lot about like in the environment, in nature, in schools, but it's a whole other thing to see it in person and take in the data and, you know, take meaning out of the data. Like, what does this mean? How do you compare this with other data? And sure, data might sound boring and all, but really it tells a story, and it's a really amazing story.
It's the most meaningful thing I've done in my work.